Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay. Yeah. So as I eat my falafel. Anyway, um, so where did I start off? Ask, ask me the question, and then I'll be able to focus.
You're
This
going to
is
tell me
this
that
tea.
you're,
This tea is delicious.
I know, I love it.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know what to expect. The
Yeah.
one like you were asking me about the lady, like the one who knew Nathan.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wrote the blog, and like I said, I never got any emails. I didn't think it was trending. Nothing. Like for 20 years, it was just like, like I said, somebody would contact me. I do an update. Nobody would email me. I get a few phone calls. Like, plus that too, I had to be really discerning. I had like one time I had a young woman from Saskatchewan saying she was a victim of Nathan chasing horse, but it didn't feel right. I felt she was just being curious. So I so
Okay,
so
yeah.
I didn't publish what she said to me.
Uh-huh.
Because the I guess the things didn't fit, things about
Hmm.
Nathan that just didn't fit. So I didn't think she was like her story was honest.
Uh-huh.
Okay, like moments like that, I'd publish or I wouldn't publish, but the majority of times I did write do updates, and rightfully so too, because people would, people his followers would, say that I'm lying, and like because he manipulated them, and this is the point. Like
Yeah.
for 20 years, like I didn't know people were listening and reading my blog. I didn't know that when I went down to Las Vegas on that, like the March 11th, and I met the lady. She says, and she introduced me to these other women, like from California, not just women, but people from California, Montana, New Mexico, Arizona, and they shook my hand. Rosalind, all these people had read my blog. They had read my
Really?
blog. They had read my blog, and they were
Wow.
and they said if it weren't for you blogging, like they wouldn't have stepped back and wondered why were they supporting Nathan chasing horse.
Awesome.
Well, see that's the whole thing too, is like when I do my podcast and I'm talking like to the general public, I know that there are people out there who are living some sort of traumatic experience, like event, or something is happening in their family that's similar, and they're trying to
Yeah.
figure out like how can I deal with this, how can I heal from it. Is this like, am I normal for feeling this way? Because a lot of times, you're wondering, oh, I should just not bother, don't, I won't deal with it. But the
Yeah.
reality of it is, if you do not deal with it, somewhere along the line some crisis will happen in your life, and that trauma just percolates to the top, and you have a compound trauma to the event,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't have the capacity to grieve, or
Uh-huh.
even look after yourself. Like these things we just think, oh well, my like in history, oh well, they took care, they were strong, they didn't have this and that. But 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 the reality of it is, like, there's community. And what I'm finding out is that, like, because we're Indigenous, yes, we've had community, but I think it's in every human race, every human being, whatever ethnic background you come from. There's always going to be this epiphany, or this moment, or this dilemma of, like, am I the only one, or is it just my community that this is happening to? And I think when you start talking about the abuse, then you realize it's like universal. And if it's
Yeah.
universal, then how do you process it? Because you still have to live in your skin.
Yeah.
You still have to be Indigenous. See, and for me, like even if I'm talking about a black person, like, and there's a hell of a lot of black people who are millionaires, and yet they wear their skin. And I
Yeah.
mentioned this one lady. She said to me, she said, my brother, uh, he wears his skin. He drives a really luxurious car. The police pull him over. He's black. He's wearing his skin. Doesn't matter how rich you are. Systemic
Yeah.
racism, like, when you're wearing your skin, you have to wear your skin.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, I think with Indigenous women. I was talking about uh, gender psychology and gender studies, and the need to develop a curriculum for Indigenous young girls, so they can make
Mhm.
decisions, choices in their lives, like what's a good choice, so that
Mhm.
so that there's prevention for them to not be manipulated or groomed or trafficked. And what does it look like, and how does it feel? And at the same time, if they don't feel comfortable at home, what do the support workers, the youth workers, like the counselors, the social workers, the teachers, whoever works with them in the schools or in community, how do they provide um, support
Mhm.
and help them uh, feel safe when
Mhm.
the trafficking could be happening right within their home. See, and that's the dilemma, because these the survivors, like they said, they were drinking the Kool-Aid. They didn't
Oh
know
yeah.
they were involved with this dangerous man. Like the one
Mhm.
lady, she came to my community, and she asked the one lady said to her, "Oh, there's Marina," and she says, "I looked and I thought, where is she?" She said she pointed she pointed you out to me, and she said, "I looked at you and I thought, she's a grandma." I said, "What do you think I've been trying to tell people?" When, when I met Nathan Chasing Horse, I was already like 55. I
Yeah.
was already a senior. And here for 20 years, he's been telling them a lie, that I'm this woman who wears makeup and lipstick and
Oh my.
eyeshadow, and is a cougar prowling around on the bars on the weekend, picking up, being promiscuous and chasing, and like, and I said, when she's disclosing this to me, I said, why do you think I was so angry? I said, I have my own family members not even defending me. I have people in my community not even defending me, knowing how old I am. Like, that's why, as
Yeah.
a senior woman, I'm saying healthy human sexuality. Why do people do that to Indigenous women of all ages?
Mhm.
Why are we so violent, like emotionally violent to our own sex, our own gender?
Yeah.
And it has to start off, like, when we're young.
Mhm.
That's why I think, giving some history about, like, Bill C-31. A lot of young Indigenous women don't know why, how our own people were groomed by the Indian agents.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having discussions with that, like with academics and with, youth workers, and people who have skill counseling adolescents, having some sort of support for them, so that they're not vulnerable, because when they go home, the home is worse for them, because the
Mhm.
parents have some sort of disorder, or have some sort of dysfunction, uh, and they make the home a dangerous place for them.
Yeah.
That's the key thing, is because I think a lot of times when we have a mental health issue, that we
Mhm.
think it's somebody else's problem, and that it's not us, or it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I said it takes a hell of a lot of courage to deal with your shit. That's why I say it took me 20 years for me to report that I was sexually assaulted,
Mm.
and for me to face my truth. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times women don't want to hear things because it triggers them as well. So so those the impact that those women had, because they said every like it was constant. It wasn't a just one time thing where Nathan Chasing Horse had said to them, they it was constantly him telling them, don't Google my name, because
Really?
because
Wow.
my blog is on Google.
Yeah. Huh. Wow.
And I said I knew he had something against me, but I didn't know how he was indoctrinating his followers.
Yeah.
And yet people who knew me weren't even defending me.
Oh, so you were a threat to him then, eh?
Well, I believe I was a threat when he was like I was a technician, planning ceremonies and organizing ceremonies where they were going to be held. And I tell people, not
Mhm.
once did I give him tobacco, because people think, oh well, she, like when people give me tobacco, like a friend of mine said, she said, this young woman gave her tobacco at a conference. I think it was in Winnipeg. She says this young
Oh
woman.
yeah.
There was a woman's conference. She says this young woman came up to me, gave me tobacco and a bag of a bag of gifts, like as an offering. She says in that bag there was cedar, tobacco, sweetgrass, and then she said, and there was women's products in there, sanitary
Oh yeah.
tampons and stuff. And she said
Oh my.
that was so inappropriate.
Holy.
She said she says, and I'm an elder woman.
Yeah.
And she said to that young woman, I can't accept this. And the young woman got offended.
Yeah. Huh.
And you know, my elder friend says, I was taught these things when I was a young woman.
Yeah.
There are some things that
Oh,
you can't accept. Like having two things in one bundle,
oh,
but
wow.
it's a,
I would never give anything like that. Wow, that's crazy.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even too, like I was invited, like I work with Indian Residential School Memorial and Confluence, and I was given tobacco, and there was a group of young people, like I say, in 30 and 40, and I could sense they were hostile. But you know,
Really?
but my lesson, why I'm mentioning this story, is after the meeting, I had tears in my eyes, and I spoke to the Indigenous liaison, and I said, "Did you see how they treated me?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Any elder would have just walked out." And that was a
Mm-hmm.
lesson. That was a lesson for me, that when people organize and invite me as an Indigenous elder woman to come and pray, I I expect them to protect me against
Mm-hmm.
misogyny,
Yeah.
against our
Yeah.
own people, Rosalind, because that offering of tobacco should be a place of, you're creating a sacred space, and it should also be a safe space.
Yeah. That's right.
That's why the relationship between creator and you is that bond of tobacco, that sacred medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when I tell people, not once did I give him Nathan Chasing Horse tobacco. I did not trust him. My gut, I didn't trust him.
Um,
Even when I tried to talk to women about the charisma he had, instead they turned it around and like, oh, you're this cougar. And that's where it all started, that catalyst.
huh?
You know,
Wow.
I had people saying, "Oh, he's got emails from you professing your love for him." I'm going, what?
Wow.
However they saw me,
Yeah.
on March 11th, I said, like it was March 10th, I was talking to the lady. I said, tomorrow at the sentencing, I should dress up, put on heavy makeup, heavy blue eyeshadow, red lipstick, false eyelashes,
Oh,
false fingernails,
oh my God.
show my breast.
Oh, wow.
I was, I said, because that's the image he painted of me,
Wow.
defaming my character.
Defamation, is it not?
Well, get this. I was so brokenhearted after I came back from Lake City at an event that happened. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, we have to deal with our shit because when shit hits the fan and you're brokenhearted, how well do you recover from it? You know,
Mm-hmm.
my niece's daughter was on Facebook, and this woman
Mm-hmm.
had made a comment about my brother and myself. I didn't even know this because I'm not on their Facebook.
Uh-huh.
An acquaintance sent me the photo. The reason I'm telling you this is like I'm no longer associating with uh, that acquaintance because that was none of her business to show me that shit. It was really
Mm-hmm.
defamation of my character,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to call the tribal police. They said we can't do anything because you're not on their Facebook. She said the person who sent you the photos, that's her responsibility to report it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Huh.
But the reality of it is like that defamation of character. There's my niece's daughter, like in our way, my granddaughter,
Yeah, yeah.
not even defending me.
Wow.
That same
Mm.
that same defamation of what Nathan Chasing painted of me. This
Mm-hmm.
granddaughter is still promoting it.
Wow. Shameful for that kid. Holy.
And she's a young woman. She's a young woman.
Mm.
Um, I think it was. Hold on here. I've got. Um, let's see. I think yeah. Here it goes. It went like this. Hold on. If I can open this up. Let's see. Where does it go? Oh, she said. Here she goes. She goes. This is Dan Crane pushing his way into the space where he should be banished. Disgusting AF. I know what he did to Roberta, and his sick sister Marina Crane sticks up for him. She's a child predator herself.
Oh,
And then,
holy.
yes, yes. Now get this, and so they're talking about. She says the reason some men struggle with this concept is because they try to enter child behavior instead of adults' responsibility. They ask what the child said, how the child acted, and what the child wore. She says, and then or whether or not the child wanted it. None of the charges changes the fact that the responsibility always lies with the adult. Statutory rape laws exist to protect minors from adults who try to blur that line. And so that woman who sent it, she says, Sitton should banish him from holding sweats. But then you have another Whitney counselor inviting visitors to have ceremony with him. Again, disgusting. Now,
Oh,
then she addresses my grandchild. She tells her, I have nothing to lose out there. Therefore, I will always stand by those who've been victims like Roberta. See, and I'm going, where the hell does this woman
mm.
who's not even a nation member talking to
Yeah.
my granddaughter, and my granddaughter replies, thank you. I know how isolating it can be too, but after this long, it's me It's like me, like Mif, MEH. I appreciate you. And then the woman says to my granddaughter, it's heartbreaking. It's so disgusting seeing him show up everywhere and no one says anything. I come to the reserve that I have paid to vote me on, but I have nothing to lose calling these pedophiles. And she's including me in this. She's
Mm.
including me in this. And again, my granddaughter is not even defending me. She was,
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. I was heartbroken. And I thought, when is this defamation of my character going to stop? Even with my granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Wow.
is, and that, and
That's
what,
crazy.
see, and the thing is, my granddaughter doesn't understand that when I went to Las Vegas and I spoke to those women who knew Nathan a lot longer than my granddaughter's mother. So my granddaughter's mother was supported Nathan for 20 years.
Yeah.
And the abuse he did to her. What those ladies told me what Nathan did to my niece. My niece, who is like, I think she's 52 now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like a battered wife. He'd
Wow.
emotionally abuse her and she'd go back for more. And then here's her daughter. Here's her daughter.
Yeah.
What, like, what the hell? Like, that's why I'm going, this whole abuse thing, this whole denial of like trauma, you know, it 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 per, it percolates even within my family. And that's like I said to the lady, I said, my other niece, um, she was just 8 years old. Nathan would take the medicine rattle and hit her on the head. Uh, I said, to
Boy.
scare her. And the lady said, well, that's what he did to my daughter, and that's how he groomed her.
Wow.
He would get off sexually by scaring the bejesus out of these kids. You know,
Boy.
first it's women, but yet he couldn't get, like it's just a deep psychological turn on for him. That's why when this lady is including me in this ring of pedophilia, she doesn't even understand the whole scope of what I've been advocating for. And
Mm-hmm.
I was so brokenhearted, and then I sent this off to uh, one of the men who was interviewing me, like for trafficking, and I thanked him for helping me. And he says, "Of course, anytime." And pardon my French, but that bitch can fuck off, laugh my ass off. She must be incredibly hurt, jealous, and lonely if this is how she chooses to spend her time. Be thankful you don't have to live with that kind of hate in your heart. And it just got to me, and I thought, oh, bless his heart,
Yeah.
because it can be crippling and debilitating.
Wow.
And my sister even called and she said, don't let her get to you. Don't let them
Yeah.
get to you. Like I try and tell people, when somebody commits a crime in our communities, our small communities, the whole family is seen as being guilty.
Yeah.
And I said, I I I had to help my brother's children. My brother's
Mm-hmm.
children did not do this criminal act. My brother did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that we're not a sovereign nation when it comes to our child and family, I had to go to chief and council just to get my niece and nephew back into the community. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
advocate for my niece Roberta because she wasn't a nation member. she,
Oh, I
she,
see. Okay.
she
Yeah.
was shipped into the city in a group home where she was trafficked. Like,
Mm.
women like this woman, talking about my niece, like, let her spirit rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I've tried to do to help her failed. in an imp- I had to I've This whole episode with Nathan Chasing Horse has taught me that I have to forgive myself and stop blaming myself for not saving Roberta, because I was in
Mm.
a situation that was impossible.
Yeah.
And those women who read my blog, like this is the reality. Those If that woman who wrote this about me on Facebook if she understood the gravity and the gratefulness or the appreciation those women have towards me, like basically I saved their lives. I saved their
Yeah.
lives because they read my blog. And the thing is, like, it took years for them to process. Like, it wasn't just like a one-time thing reading my blog.
Yeah.
They would constantly see updates of what I was writing.
Yeah.
For them to leave the cult, for them to leave his influence. And
Wow.
the fact that, like, they finally had courage to, like, the one lady started putting it on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
because the power of social media. But her charges, excuse me, her name is Red and also Sierra, those two women that
Mm-hmm.
that were the catalyst for this. Both of those
Mm-hmm.
cases were thrown out of the Supreme Court of Nevada.
Oh.
But it's the I think there's 13 charges he's found guilty.
Hmm.
Out out of those charges, um,
Mm-hmm.
it's all based on hold on here, sexual assault.
Oh.
There's 13 guilty verdicts,
Mm-hmm.
all
Oh,
under
I'm at the house now.
uh, all minors under the age of 16. Only out of the
Mm.
13, two, three, only three. So there's 10 sexual assault charges for under the age of 16. He's guilty of those.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are just from videotapes that they
Um.
were able to identify as him sexually assaulting them in a hotel room in Las Vegas. There's more
Mm-hmm.
that aren't for the state that the federal government the FBI has on him.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say is like the impact of writing a narrative and not knowing the who you're reaching.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's important.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But anyway, I just want so I think when I went down there on March 11th, it was just really like trauma. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
they came out. I could see them crying because they wanted it to they wanted to see what he was going to be, what he was serving.
Yeah.
Now on the 27th, they're gonna hear it. So I think it's something to celebrate.
Yeah. I think so too. I agree with you. Totally.
Yeah. So if
Oh,
you could think about it and let me know what you think about it, because like I've
okay.
got about 3 weeks to plan something.